Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Nothing? Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Are we missing something?
Lights are on.
Testing, 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 testing.
The fun side of broadcast.
We're just gonna shut those off.
Just in case.
Testing, testing.
When you're reading it off.
Testing, testing, testing. Oh, there we go, there we go. No, 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 I got it. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, 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 testing. Testing, testing. Welcome to Howard Wood Field here, where tonight we have a playoff matchup. The Washington Warriors take on the Watertown Arrows. Alongside me is Gerald Mokris and August Mills here on the mic. Tonight we have a matchup, as I stated, Warriors, Arrows. Interesting matchup. Washington fell all the way to the 4 seed coming into this game. We'll see how that works out, but Washington typically in the last 3 years now, 4, has had success in these first round playoff games.
Yeah, and definitely a big drop for Washington, coming in as the, I believe, 3 seed last week and falling down to 4 after Brand Valley's upset of O'Gorman. Their hope to take care of a 4 or 5 seed matchup, but chance for an upset, 4 or 5 seed matchup.
4 or 5 seed matchup, yes. Obviously, the Sioux Falls schools have been typically dominant, or if you include Brandon in that, they've been dominant over the past few years. It'll be interesting to see if Watertown can maybe break that seal. Gerald, what do you think is the key for Watertown to maybe make a run here?
I think just being able to get the pass game going, making sure that they keep the secondary on their toes, not running too much, just making sure that the pass game is strong.
That's always going to be big playing Washington. That's basically how the teams have gotten after them this year. Teams like Roosevelt, OG, they threw it all over them. And that's how that looks to be the way to beat these Warriors here as they meet, shake hands, and get ready for kickoff just moments away.
Yeah, it's just like you said, if you can pass on these Warriors, the safeties, they're good, they're seniors, but they've had flaws this year. So pass on these Warriors, Washington couldn't have a problem right here.
It's always a danger with these 4 or 5 games that 5 seed could spring an upset. Of course, this isn't a typical 4-5 game, though. On paper, it doesn't look like they're pretty equal in talent. It looks like Washington should have the edge. Coming into this year, they're ranked number 1 on a 37-game win streak, I believe, and it hasn't been the greatest year for them, but they still have the talent to win this game here as they get ready to kick off. And it'll be Luke Behrens to kick off here for Washington High to start this playoff run for both teams. The 4 seed Washington will kick to the 5 seed Watertown here. And it'll be Behrens to do so, and here we go. The kick is going to be returnable at the 1. It's going to be brought out to the 15. Gets stood up there at about the 18 by a host of Warriors. It's going to be 1st and 10 from there. And out will come that Washington defensive line, probably the strong suit of that defense. They're pretty staunch against the run.
The front seven's always been very good for the Warriors, but just making sure that the secondary stays on their game is really a big point for the Warriors defense.
That will be key, especially, we've seen teams like even the triple option, the run-heavy teams like Rep City Central trying to air it out against Washington and have had some success. So that'll be interesting to see here as Watertown comes onto the field. At quarterback, that's number 4 for them. It'll be interesting to see if he can get things going as they hand it off up the middle. Gets a gain of where they're marking it about 2 yards. So a quick 2-yard gain there by the Arrows.
And rushing against this Washington defense has been tough this year. A lot of quarterback runs are easier, but running up the middle against these senior defensive linemen are pretty hard to do.
It has been difficult for opposing teams, and that'll be an interesting thing to look for. If they can get the run game going, especially, that would be huge for them. People are kind of expecting the pass game to be there to a point, but that run game is tough against this Warrior D-line with seniors like Peyton Newsma and Adam Derlins as they run the screenplay there, and that's just a bad pass. They're going to call that incomplete pass. Could argue that it was a backwards pass, but it was not ruled that way. They'll bring up 3rd and 8 here for Watertown. Be interesting to see more like these 3rd and long situations. Always tough for teams. You don't want to be in this 3rd and long situation, but 2 plays that didn't really go anywhere. This is where Watertown is now. They'll probably have to air it out, but airing it out against Warriors this year has been all right. It'll be Flory in the pistol. Behind him is Fossum. Flory step back, pressure coming, got the throw off. I think it was tipped, and it's going to be picked off there by Robert Doherty. Well, no, they're just going to mark it dead. They're going to mark it dead at the 46. I'm not really sure.
It didn't look like he took a knee or anything like that,
That
so
was
it's just very
strange
confusing.
here.
It's very odd.
Oh, and yeah,
officiating.
his knee actually was on the ground there, as we're seeing on the video replay here. His knee was on the ground, but that is an interception there for the Warriors. And that'll be Jaden and Tupac again. And here goes Tupac Capella. Makes some moves, gets the outside, and gets all the way to the 32. Good start there. Washington run game going to be critical for them.
And good to mention, Tupac Capella's starting game is 85 yards away from the all-time record, and that was a decent chip into it to start.
He should surpass that total with how much they utilize him. It would be surprising to see him held under that number. And it'll be Johansson again in the gun. Gets a snap, dropping back. He's going to step into a throw. I think it got tipped up in the air and chance for an interception there. But Watertown was not ready for it. That's going to bring up 2nd and 10. Washington going through the air. Be interesting. Last game against Lincoln, they got about everything going right. Offense, running, passing, everything was going right. It'll be interesting to see how Watertown's defense holds up. Because really, if you can play defense against this Warrior offense, just get a few stops here and there, you have a chance to put up points on them on the other end. Interesting to see how that'll play out as a quick throw over the middle there from Johansson is completed to Jet Anderson over the middle there. So that's going to be 1st and 10 from the 20. Washington moving right along here early.
And Jet Anderson in the slot has been great for the Warriors this year. Just another presence that really is able to stretch the field for the Warriors.
Yeah, they have a lot of senior wideouts. And it seems like every year Washington just brings out 3 new wide receivers, 3 new seniors that carry load, and that's exactly what's happened this year. As Johansson, again, he's going to step up into the pocket, he's going to run, and he is going to be still on his feet, gets a 6-yard gain there on the scramble. I believe that was a design pass play. Ended up just stepping in the pocket. No one to throw to, had to run away. Good decision there by Johansson.
Johansson's great on his feet, especially being able to step up in the pocket. Being able to use his feet is great for this Warriors offense.
That's going to be huge. It makes them a lot less. When they throw, it gives them another dimension. That he can at any point just spring out, get at least 5-10 yards. Hand off to Capella, breaks tackles, jumps outside and gets all the way to the 8-yard line there. Washington moving right along. That's another 1st down, and this one's going to be 1st and goal.
And what's really impressive about this receiving core, like you said, especially one receiver, Anderson and Smith have been in the system for a while, but Gabe Pearson, one of the star receivers for tonight, hasn't even played football or in high school until this year. He's one of the star receivers on
and
this
he
team.
has been, and he's been very good for Washington all year too. So it'll be another interesting storyline to watch as this game goes on. At the handoff to Capella up the middle, and that's going to be touchdown Warriors. The Warriors strike first here early in the first quarter. They take a 7-0 lead on Watertown.
A great first drive by the Warriors, just moving the ball down the field with the run and the pass game. Just remarkable from the Warriors.
Everything seems to be going well right now for Washington.
A real nice mix of both passing and rushing on that. When we've seen Washington go run heavy, some games pass heavy, others, nice mix right there.
That was a good mix, and that will be key for them throughout these playoffs as Freddie Frederick is going to take and it is good. So Washington takes a 7-0 lead just almost 3 minutes into the first quarter, and we will be back for kickoff. We are back here at Howard Wood Field getting ready for the kickoff after Washington took it down the field after an interception to get a quick touchdown there with a mix of run pass. And now they will kick off to Watertown. It'll be Luke Behrens to do so here. The kick is long, and that's going to be a touchback. So that, and in high school rules, if it hits anywhere, if the player is in the end zone or if the ball hits the end zone, is an automatic touchback. So that will be a touchback there. They will get the ball at the 20. We'll see if they can make more progress than the 2 yards and an interception they got last time.
This Arrows team, a big surprise this year on it, going in and being the 5th seed. They were one game. If they had beaten Brandon Valley, they probably would have been the 4th seed here. So this is a good team, good year for a resurgent Arrows team.
They are having a very good year, and it'll be interesting to see if they can build on this. Although it is 7-0 early, they are still in this game for sure. It's way too early to call anything. And once again, that'll be Flory in the pistol. I believe that's Fossum behind him. And the handoff to Fossum right up the middle, breaks a tackle and gets a good gain of about 9 yards there. Good straight up the gut run, and that's, if you're going to run on Washington, right up the gut is probably the best way to do it. Their linebacker play has been okay. Their nose guard is a little bit undersized, so that's the area if you're going to run to.
And injuries have stretched this D-line thin and the linebacker core, with Mike Dillengard being out with an ACL.
They have been stretched thin, and that doesn't help with the defense that already wasn't performing to the level that we thought they would there. On a 5-yard gain for the Arrows, that's Fossum again on the run, and he is running well right now. This looks like a completely different Arrows offense. You got to think maybe some nerves were there on that first drive, hoping to get the first score, but now that they're down, they're playing with a little more urgency, and that should bode well for them.
And as the game goes on, we're just hoping that the Arrows offense just continues to drive down the field, and hopefully the Warriors will be able to stop them.
And then the handoff there on jet sweep gets a good gain of about, they're going to mark them for 3 or 4 yards here. That was a handoff to number 10, Evan Falconer, there on the sweep play. And that'll bring up 2nd down and 7 for the Arrows. We'll see if they can keep some momentum going.
And a solid start for this Arrows offense here on this drive. A good mix of running up the middle on Washington, which is surprising considering how good that D-line is.
That D-line, yes, they have been. But it's better than run to the tackles there where you have Peyton Newsman and Adam Derlin waiting to just eat up any attempt. And now in the gun again here, the Arrows. Handoff up the middle, it's Fossum, and he gets shut down after just a gain of 1. So that's going to bring up another 3rd and 6, so another 3rd and medium here for the Arrows. We'll see if they can convert. That's something they're going to have to do tonight if they want to pull off an upset tonight.
And it looks like the Warriors' defense is going into the nickel formation with bringing off Ben Bartling, just making sure they got the extra defender out there and making sure that they're able to defend the pass if needed.
Which has been a struggling area for them this year, defending the pass. You've seen, like I said before, run-heavy teams having success through the air. So it'll be interesting to see how Watertown schemes. Although one thing Washington does have is a great pass rush, and that will help them on these pass plays. They run a screen play, and that is going to get close to the 1st down, I believe just short. By where they're marking it, that's going to be close.
I bet they'll go for it if it's short enough. You're close to midfield.
I think it is about a half yard short.
Looks like they will go for it, keeping the offense
At
on.
this point, yeah, you might as well go for it. I believe the wind is not favorable to them either if they did punt. Oh, and they are going to punt. Interesting call here. I mean, about a half yard away, they're going to punt it on the road at Howard Wood Field here. Interesting call. Maybe they just don't want to give them the field position. Again, that's a possibility, but they are going to go with the punt. But one thing to look out for is a possible fake being this close. It'll be interesting to see what they do here, as it looks like they are just going to punt. And that punt gets to the 30. So it'll be 1st and 10 Washington from the 30-yard line coming up here after that punt. Be interesting to see how Washington's offense goes now. They have a little bit of a longer field than they did last time, but I mean their offense really had one play that didn't have positive yardage. So it'll be interesting to see if they do that again, they can really take a commanding 14-0 lead here early on in the first. And that'll be Johansson in the gun again, and they're going to run the option play, and he's going to fake the pitch and get dragged down after a gain of about 4 yards, bring up a 2nd and 6. So interesting play call. We don't see that often from Washington.
No, we don't. Well, we have seen a lot of Johansson runs, the designed runs from this year, and he's done good. He had a 90 rushing yard performance a few weeks ago, including a 75-yard touchdown run. So he's starting to become mobile here.
He is, and that could be something that could propel them over some of the stronger teams in the state in the playoffs. As a handoff to Capella to the outside, looking to find a hole, breaks a tackle and gets knocked out of bounds at the 48. Washington's offense gets another 1st and 10 after that solid run by Capella.
And it appears that Johansson is grabbing at the right knee, which is big for this Warriors offense, but they still have Capella in the backfield, so that would be good. Just give the ball to Capella, and they seem to find success.
That has been really, they have, except for maybe the first few games of the season, anytime they've given the ball to Capella, it's been positive yardage and a lot of it, as now they will throw the ball with Johansson in another short pass that gets 8 yards there after the run. So that's going to bring up 2nd and 2. Washington's offense keeps moving right along.
And Johansson is still grabbing at that right knee. We're wondering if he has a brace on or if he's just readjusting it, if it's actually problems with the knee.
He does continue to grab at that knee. That'll be interesting to watch here. The last thing Washington needs is another injury here as they hand off to Capella up the middle, breaks a few tackles, and finally dragged down at the 31-yard line. Another 1st down for Washington.
Slowly but surely, Tupac Capella is going to set, barring injury, I should say, going to set probably this all-time rushing record, and a great career by Capella. A great story about him too. He's one of the best to come out of South Dakota.
He is, and he will hopefully continue to build on that throughout these playoffs. As there's a fumble in the backfield, and Johansson is able to fall right on it. So Washington keeps possession there on the first mistake, really, we've seen from Washington. Close, and that could have been an opportunity for Watertown. It would have been a huge swing of momentum here halfway through the first. But it'll be 2nd and 15 now for Washington, and Johansson will be in the gun again. Looks like Watertown plans to bring some heat here, and it's going to be handoff to Capella, and he's getting holes. A lot of times he gets yards, but it's not through the holes as offensive linemen make. He has to make the plays himself, but right now he's just getting wide open holes here. The offensive line making good push. It's a younger offensive line than we've seen in the past few years for Washington High, but now they have a 3rd and 7. Interesting to see what they do here. The passing game has worked well. See if they do that on 3rd and 7. No, the handoff to Capella, and he is brought down. So Capella stopped on 3rd and 7. That'll bring up 4th and 5 here. Interesting to see what you do. You're kind of out of field goal range at this point, unless they have the wind at their back. It's something they definitely could try, or if they want to go for it. Their offense has, for the most part, been unstoppable, and right now it looks like they're going to go for it.
Yeah, and that's probably a good choice. The kicking game between Barons and Fredericks has been okay, but not strong on field goals and extra points this year, so smart decision to go for it, 4th and medium.
And now Johansson is going to pass. Pressure coming. Johansson's going to have to run, and he is going to be... That's going to be incomplete pass. So Watertown takes over on downs there. They get a big stop. Got some pressure on the quarterback. Good to see, because Johansson has time to throw. He will find a wide receiver open somewhere.
It's going right through that inexperienced offensive line. Only one senior, I believe, Carson Wilson, the starting center. And Washington offense finally gets stopped after about 2 straight games.
That'll be interesting. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how Washington's offense responds. It feels like it's been 2-3 games where they just have not been stopped on offense. It'll be interesting to watch how they respond to that. And a good confidence building stop for Watertown, knowing that this offense is, to a point, human. It can be stopped. So now Watertown will come out again, and it'll be Flory in the pistol. And that play did not look right from the start, and that's going to be a loss of about 4 there for Watertown.
A miscommunication from the quarterback and running back as they ran into each other, but Flora was able to get the pass off, and it looked like a backwards pass.
That was an interesting play call. Would have worked all right if they wouldn't have had that. If they wouldn't have collided in the backfield, but that'll bring up 2nd and long. That's the last thing you want after getting turnover on downs to throw yards away. That's the last thing Watertown was looking for here, as they're going to throw it again. Pressure coming, gets a pass off. Pass is completed, and he is brought down at the 30. That's going to bring up 3rd and 6 here, and that's Falconer on the grab.
And, 3rd and 6, that's pretty good considering the first play lost 4 yards. Just a bad start to this drive where he really could have used some momentum after stopping the Warriors on 4th down, but still manageable 3rd down.
Manageable 3rd down. Good play there on 2nd down. Interesting to see what they do here. Washington, you'd expect to bring good pressure with the outside linebackers, and they do, but it's not really getting to the corner. Now it is, as he is brought down. That's going to be Flory, who gets sacked on the play, so they are going to have to punt it. That was Randolph Kapai on the sack.
Just really unfortunate for the Arrows here after getting that big stop that they're going to have to punt it right back. This Washington defense, or offense, which is, it can be stopped, but twice in a row is pretty hard to do.
That is going to be difficult here for Watertown. You kind of go back to that 4th and about half a yard play and think maybe they should have gone for it, but that is far gone now, and they're going to have to punt. Washington had good pressure on that as well. And that is caught at the 48-yard line. 1st and 10. Washington will have the ball here in a short moment, as Jane Johansson and Tupac Capello will come back on the field, hoping to get more points for Washington here. Just about minute 45 left in this first quarter.
Yeah, it's really going to be hard to stop this Warrior offense twice in a row with Capella. But like you said earlier, watch Johansson in that right knee here. So maybe it's just precaution, or maybe it's a bit of an injury.
And now Johansson throws it quickly again. This one is caught, but then he slips. That was Gabe Pearson on the catch, and he ends up getting a gain of 10. I believe that's going to bring up 1st down.
There's also a penalty flag on the field. It looks like a possible hold, as it was near the line of scrimmage, near the O-line.
That does look, I think that's what they're going to call. Washington backing up. And interesting to see Watertown. Well, that's good. They're going to get a legal player downfield is what they're going to call there. So that's going to bring up 15 now for Washington. Interesting to see Watertown getting a good amount of pressure there. That's something to watch, because Washington can throw the football, but if Johansson's being rushed, that just puts them at a disadvantage, and they're going to have to stick with the run. And then Johansson is going to hand off to Capello. There's so much space. Makes a move, gets the outside. He's going to go inside now, and he's going to get to 20, 10, 5, pulled down at the 5 by his shoelaces. That's going to bring up 1st and goal for Washington. Huge run there by Capello.
Beautiful blocking downfield from Pearson, and it's just great to see your wide receivers blocking down for the running backs and other players. Just really sets up a great play.
And there was a huge hole to begin with as well. The offensive line blew up a huge hole, and that's what made that run possible, and will bring up 1st and goal from the 5 for Washington. Chance to take a 2-score lead here as they hand it off to Capella, and I thought they got to stop, but Capella bounces outside and brought down at the 4-yard line. The interesting thing is Watertown, although they just gave that big run, has been able to stick with the run game up the middle especially. That'll be interesting to watch here what Washington does about that. More likely than not, they'll just keep running the outside, because that's been unstoppable all game. And it'll be Johansson in the gun here again. 2nd and goal from the 4. He's going to quick slant route, and they got it. Touchdown, Warriors. That's Gabe Pearson on the catch. 13-0, as the extra point will come here in a few moments with a chance to go up 14-0.
And after that big Capella run, we're only, I'm sure, a few rushing attempts away from him setting this all-time record, which I'm sure will get a acknowledgement here from the PA announcer.
And now here comes the extra point. It's going to be Freddie Frederick to take it. And it is good. 14-0 Washington will with the lead. We'll be back for kickoff here in a minute. We are back here at Howard Wood Field, 14-0. Washington has jumped out to a first quarter lead here on the number 5 seed Watertown Arrows, and they will now kick off to them here, and that'll be Luke Behrens to do it. And Washington with all the momentum right now. Watertown really needs to get something going here as the first quarter winds down. This kick is going to be... It would have been returnable had they caught it, but it was just a low-driven kick that went bouncing into the end zone. So that's going to bring up 1st and 10 for Watertown at the 20.
We'd like to acknowledge for Washington that Tubacapea has 116 rushing yards on the day, meaning he has set the all-time all-purpose yards record for South Dakota High School 11-man. Tubacapea.
Congratulations to Tubacapea. He has been nothing but phenomenal his sophomore, junior, and now senior year. And it'll be interesting to see if he will be able to finish off the year with a 4th ring. And that obviously, I think, is his biggest goal of this season. Watertown in the pistol, hands off again. This is going to be a gain of about 2.5 yards there as Fossum ran up the middle again. I'll bring up 2nd and 8 now for Watertown here. They need to get something going fast because it's been all Washington here to start. I mean, 2 stops and a pick. Nothing really going for Watertown. They had a few good plays, but just nothing really strung together. And Watertown with a quick throw, and he is wide open. He will be stopped from getting the first down, though. It's going to bring up 3rd and 2. Interesting, he was open there for a while, but he tried to make a few moves, ended up getting stopped right where he was. That's going to bring up 3rd and 2.
Looked like the cornerbacks and safeties were just sitting back, playing almost like a cover 4, just waiting to meet them wherever they caught the ball. And it's just surprising from this Warriors defense that they do that.
And that will be the end of the first quarter. 14-0 Washington with a first quarter lead, but Watertown with the ball. We'll be back at the end of the break. But right now, we have an announcement from the South Dakota High School Activities Association. Let's be real. The odds of a high school athlete getting a college scholarship and making it to the pros are very slim. Don't get me wrong, it's okay to dream of becoming a pro athlete, even a famous one, but that's not why I play. My reason why I love the competition. My reason why is community. My reason why is leadership. My reason why is to challenge myself. My reason why is love for the game. And hey, if we don't make it to the pros or on the cover of Sports Illustrated, that's okay, because there's every reason to believe we will excel in something even bigger than sports. We'll excel in life. There are lots of great reasons to play high school sports. Tell us your reasons by using the hashtag #MyReasonWhy. This message presented by the NFHS and the South Dakota High School Activities Association. All right, we are back here at Howard Wood Field, and at 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 here coming up for Watertown as they line up in the pistol again. Fossum, no, they're going to fake the handoff, and they're going to get Big 41, and he is trucking. I believe that is a tight end of theirs. He was just moving. That's Blake Holden there on the little play action pass, dump play right over the middle. He had him, and he was moving.
And it looked like the safeties came up a little too early and committed just a foul error by the safeties.
That is, yeah, that interesting to see. Washington really committed to the run right there, and Holden was open and even trucked a few players. I tell you, the big boy had some wheels there. He was moving, and that'll bring up 1st and 10 for Watertown. And now the handoff to Fossum. He's going to get wrapped up in the backfield. Loss of 2 for Watertown. Every time it seems that they're really 1 step forward, 2 steps back here on offense.
Yeah, and a trio of Warriors led by Bartling, they really just shut him down for a loss of, or not a loss, about a gain, and yeah, loss of 3 on that one. So you just got to be able to avoid losses right there, because you're down by 14. You need to get a good drive here. Don't let Washington get the ball back too many more times.
And 2nd and 13 now for Watertown. Again is Flory. Play action. Flory over the middle has a man, and it's caught. That's going to bring up another 3rd and 2 for Watertown. That's more of a position they'd like to play from, is 3rd and short. And here, now being down 14-0, this is where maybe you're looking at 2 down territory right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little further than they were last time, but really you have to go for on these 4th and shorts against Washington, because there's a better chance, I think, that you make it on 4th and short than you stop their defense again.
And now 3rd and 2 coming up. And handoff to Fossum up the middle, and he's going to get it by a lot. Good run there by Fossum up the middle. Good power run play there by Watertown. 1st and 10 at the 38 now for Washington.
Fossum, you can tell, is a great north-south runner, just hitting the holes hard and making sure he gets the extra yards after contact.
And these Watertown boys, I tell you what, they might not be as skilled as the Washington players, but they are beefed up. They are ready to go. They will run the power run until you stop it here as they run the jet sweep this time, and that gets a good gain there. I believe that's number 10, Evan Falconer, there on the jet sweep, and he gets a good 6-7 yards. That's going to bring up 2nd and 4 for them from the 32.
Like you said, a lot of these small towns, South Dakota, or Watertown's decent size, but still these some rural country kids, farm kids beefed up, and that's an advantage they have over Washington. If not skill in some areas, they definitely have size.
And now Flory on the screenplay has his man. It's caught. And that'll get all the way to the 23-yard line. Watertown, actually 22-yard line. Watertown is in business right now as Falconer makes another grab.
And the slot receiver just ran a beautiful bubble screen, and then the quarterback threw on a great dot to him on the run, in stride, extra yards.
That was a good play run. And once again, Washington, interesting to see their secondary just sitting back. They're wide open right now.
Especially the slot corners just sitting back, letting him run freely.
And now handoff to Fossum, has to bounce outside. Is just going to fight for as many yards as he can get, and actually got himself about 4 or 5 yards there on the run. Solid run there by Fossum, who was shut down in the middle, but was able to bounce outside and get a few extra yards. That's going to bring up 2nd down and 6 for Watertown.
This is a great drive by Watertown here. A nice mix of run and pass here, and Washington really doesn't have an answer so far.
And it would be huge for them to be able to score here, get it back to a 1-score game, and really get the momentum back to them. Just get a stop, and you're basically 1 drive away from tying this ball game. Interesting to see, though, they have to finish this drive. They have Washington's defense on the ropes right now. They just got to finish it. Flory, it's going to be another screen, and that one's dropped. And that's going to be called for an incomplete pass, as that was clearly a forward pass. 3rd and 5 now coming up for Watertown. This once again might be 2 down territory from here. Not sure on how their kicking game is, but especially if they aren't confident in their kicking game, this is definitely 2 down territory. You are not going to punt from the 17-yard line.
And we're seeing the short screen plays are really just killing the Washington secondary with the quickness of the receivers for Watertown. Just being able to run freely is just great.
That is great for them. And they're really challenging Washington to press up so that they can take shots down the field. Here as Flory's going to run on our screen, just overthrew him. Doesn't look like it would have gained much anyways, but just overthrew him because there's pressure coming. That's going to bring up 4th down, and it looks like they are going to take a field goal here from the 17-yard line.
About 34-yard kick here. What you do have the wind at your back, so
Be interesting to see, though, if by a chance they miss this, it'll feel like you just left points on the board after an overall strong drive.
you hate to do that, especially against this high-powered Warrior offense. But Watertown playing conservatively on 4th downs to start this game.
The kick is up, and it definitely had the power. It's no good. It just missed there. 14-0 it remains, and that drive was really for nothing there for Watertown, and their defense is going to come out, and they need to stop now.
They really do in this Washington. The offense is very hard to get stops against, and you got to limit Capella, and you got to limit. I mean, it's not just two pockets. It's passing game too. The receivers always find a way to be open.
There's just too many weapons for Washington right now, and Watertown, they needed those points. They really did, but they just could not get them. That's going to bring up 1st and 10 for Washington as they hand off to Capella. He has a hole, cuts back inside, gets a 34. It's going to bring up another 1st and 10.
And Capella was just acknowledged by PA announcer Jason Luth that he has set the all-time rushing record or all-purpose yard record for South Dakota, 11-man football.
And now the handoff that time going to be shut down there after just a gain of 2 yards. That's going to bring up 2nd and 8 now for Washington. Watertown would love a stop right now. This would be huge for them. Obviously, knowing that they gave up points on that last drive hurts, but just to be back, get a stop, just get your offense the ball again. Things were working for you. So the key is just to get the ball back right now for Watertown. Johansson, he's going to throw, pressure coming, has to throw it to Jacob Smith there, who is going to be pushed back about 10 yards, but with forward progress, he's going to be marked at about the 40-yard line, bringing up a 3rd and 4 for Washington. This is definitely manageable for them. You can run, pass, you can do a lot of things from 3rd and 4 with this Washington offense.
Especially with having Capella in the backfield, just being able to, if you had to run, and having Johansson in the pocket, be able to pass.
And now Johansson will remain in the gun. 3rd and 4 for Washington. Huge play right now for the Arrow defense. Pressure coming on the pass play. Gets it off over the middle, and it's a great catch made there by Jacob Smith that gets him the 1st down. And no fault at all to the defender. He was right there in coverage. Jacob Smith just made a good catch.
Beautiful coverage. Can't do any more as a defender. Just a miraculous catch by Jacob Smith.
So that'll bring up 1st and 10 for Washington High here at the 47. Overall, right now their offense moving, albeit slowly, but if they can get a score here, that would really hurt Watertown's chances in this game. And that is going to be shut down there after just a gain of 1 yard. It looks like Watertown's defense finally stopping the run here a little bit.
That's good, but you got this pass game. Like I said, Johansson, now he isn't as mobile with his knee problem, so if you can get to him in time, sure, but these receivers just find a way to get open. Or, like you said, with that Smith catch, he had great coverage on that, still ends up making the catch. These Warriors receivers are very hard to stop.
So that's going to bring up 2nd and 9 here for Washington. Johansson in the gun again. And Johansson's going to throw, and he's got plenty of time over the middle. It's dropped. I believe that might have hit a few hands on the way through. It was not just a straight drop. That is going to bring up 3rd and 9 here for Washington. Another big play for Watertown. Watertown's defense right now looking solid. They look like they could make a few stops in this game. They need to get the ball back for their offense before this half ends, because they did get the ball first, and Washington will be getting it first in the second half. Now it's going to be Johansson in the gun. Trips left. And he will get the snap. Pressure coming again on throw. He has a man open. Catch is made on the sideline. 1st and 10 for Washington. It's Gabe Pearson on the grab. Gets to 34. Another 1st down for Washington.
A beautiful comeback route ran by Pearson. And it's just great to see that the Warriors receivers making things happen for Johansson.
That was another strong play there. 3rd and long, they were able to convert it. Every time you convert those third downs, it just hurts the defense that much more, especially with morale there. As Johansson on the option keep going to the 20, gets a 10 and knocked out of bounds right around the 11-yard line there. So that's going to bring up 1st and 10 for the Warriors.
And the knee doesn't look to be a problem for Johansson, as that scramble got pretty good yardage.
Yeah, it looked like that was just possibly some precautionary stuff earlier, because that knee looked great on that run by Johansson, which we'll see a lot of this game as long as he doesn't fumble. It's normal. Once he fumbles, they'll usually shut down the option for the rest of the game.
And now handoff to Capella, and field. All right, Watertown's run defense has really stepped up here this drive, really. They still have a chance to get out of here with just maybe limiting to a field goal or possibly no points, the way Chad Statham likes to go for it.
And you see on that last play, you see the Warriors trying to run a west-east type of run, and the O-line just didn't really hold and give Capella the time or space that he needs.
And that's going to bring up 2nd and 12 now. Johansson with the handoff to Capella. No option keep, and he is going to get 5, touchdown. He is in there on the option keeper. Nothing they can do about that. That's going to be touchdown Washington, 20-0 here early on. Watertown on the ropes here at Hardwood Field.
A very high IQ play from Johansson. He really sold the fake there. Just thought they gave it to Capella. The defense read that he gave it to Capella, but he pulls it out and runs for a touchdown.
We'll see. Kicking for Washington, especially last week against Lincoln, was a problem with extra points. We'll see if Frederick can stay perfect on the day here.
And that is blocked. So he does not stay perfect. 20-0. Washington 49 left in the half. We'll be back for kickoff. We are back here at Howardwood Field, 20-0. Washington with the lead, and they will kick off to Watertown, who desperately needs points here before the end of the half. They have 4:49. That's a perfect amount of time to drive down the field and not give Washington that much time here. But right now they are on the ropes. It'll be Barons to kick off for Washington. And this is going to be a short kick to the wind. I think that was on purpose, and he just got to take a knee, or attempted to take a knee, but was just kind of swallowed up by a host of players at the 31. 1st and 10 arrows coming up. They need offensive production here.
Yeah, and that was a really poor job. He ran into his own blocker there. I'm not sure Watertown's kick return coverage needs to be a little better there, because a squib kick, you have a chance to get some decent field position. He just, poor. But like you said, Watertown needs a big offensive drive here. Going to half down 20-7 isn't too fatal.
And their defense has showed signs of being able to stop it, at least for a little bit. So if they can just start putting up points, they have a chance. And then the screenplay again there. That's going to be 1st and 10. No, not first down, excuse me. That's going to bring up, that's a 6-yard gain there, I believe, on the grab.
And it still looks like the Washington secondary is just kind of sitting back and almost letting the linebackers kind of clean up the little screen passes.
Interesting strategy, knowing that they have had problems against the pass. Interesting strategy, see them maybe rely on their linebackers, although they don't have very many linebackers that can stop the pass. And then good decision there by Flory to just kind of throw it away, but also not get the grounding call. It's going to bring up 3rd and 3. Interesting play call on 2nd and 3 to drop back pass instead of just run it with Fossum, who has done extremely well, or maybe another one of those sweeps with Falconer. But now they're going to have 3rd and 3 here, and they need to get this one.
3rd and short, you go for a nice conservative play. If you get the first down here, I think you should test the Warriors secondary immediately on first down with a deep pass.
And now, Flory gonna have to drop back. Has a man, and it's dropped. Perfect pass. The receiver was in position. He just dropped it. Interesting to see what Watertown will do, and they're gonna punt.
And they're pretty conservative on 4th down here, and being inside their own 40, especially, not too surprised they're going to punt here. Really a matter of can you stop the Warrior offense, because if they're Washington's up 4 scores at half, it's going to be pretty hard to come back.
And now Watertown will punt here on 4th and 3, giving Washington the ball yet again. That was a good high punt, and it was dropped. And interesting to see, no one really went after the ball after it was muffed. And I believe Anderson did a fair catch, yeah. And then that brings up 1st and 10 at the 18. Good punt there for Watertown.
Yeah, it's a good punt for Watertown, but
once again, that's not. They didn't need
small victory there. That's not really what you'd rather have a good touchdown there.
They need a stop now.
Really a turnover, honestly.
A turnover would be huge for them. Maybe get some points for halftime, but right now it's all Washington. We'll see if they continue that. Really, Watertown hasn't had many answers for Washington whatsoever tonight. And once again, that option play has just killed them. That's another first down. And it's really been the main driving force for this Washington offense in the last few series.
Another great read by Johansson. Another high IQ read from watching the D-line shift to the right, and he just kept it and ran up the middle.
That play that Watertown's going to have to learn to stop it, because everything else they've been okay, but that just has not been working out for them. They're going to have to put a spy on that quarterback or something here as Johansson steps. Oh, and he has Tyus Hansen down the sideline, makes the grab. 1st and 10 Warriors at the 43-yard line.
A beautiful double move on the outside just left the cornerback standing there, and he just blew right past him.
We talk about this Warriors secondary having problems. This Watertown Arrows secondary starting to have some problems of their own here. Just unable to stop a lot of these Washington passes here.
As Capella gets the ball, cuts, and makes his way for a 6-yard gain there for Washington.
And Watertown is kind of, Capella's had a great game already, but they're finally starting to sort of shut him down, and now possibly letting up a little here. And Washington really a few yards away from being in field goal position here, so Watertown really needs a stop.
And Johansson in the gun, and he is going to keep it again. That read option has just been working to perfection. Watertown has to do something to stop that, because right now that's been the main thing that's killed. They've been okay on some of the pass plays, although Washington's receivers have made a few excellent catches or had a few excellent routes where they just nothing you can do there as a defense. And now it's this read option play that has just been killing them these past few plays. It'll be Johansson in the gun again. Read option again, the exact same play. Johansson 5 knocked out of bounds at the 1. They have ran the exact same play 3 times in a row.
And they've stopped Tupac Capella there, but they're unable to stop Jaden Johansson. That's really going to hurt them here.
And the big chunk plays of the read option, you'd think they'd want to have a linebacker QB spy or something to at least contain Johansson so he doesn't move the ball down the field like he has been.
Yeah, and Washington has really put Watertown on the ropes here in this first half. It's 20-0. Watertown has been unable to capitalize on the offensive plays that they have had, and now they have a chance of going in the locker room down 4 scores, and Washington gets the ball first, so nothing really, no momentum here for Watertown whatsoever as Johansson takes a timeout here late in the half. That timeout we will use for another announcement from the South Dakota High School Activities Association. Is that your course schedule for the fall? Yep. Let me see here. English, good. Chemistry and trigonometry, excellent. World history, I love world history. Baseball? Wait, baseball? Baseball isn't a course. Sure it is, Mom. High school sports are about so much more than winning and losing. They teach lessons that can't be taught in the classroom, like accountability, self-discipline, the value of teamwork. I may not be earning a grade, but I am learning how to compete later in life. Isn't that what getting a good education is all about? Yes, of course it is. What can teenagers here in South Dakota learn from participating in high school sports? Plenty, as it turns out. That's why they are called education-based athletics. High school sports, they are so much more than just a game. This message was presented by the South Dakota High School Activities Association and the South Dakota Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. We are back here at Howardwood Field, where Washington is 3 yards away from taking a 4-score lead into halftime. And it'll be once again Johansson the gun. Interesting to see. They're going to pass it right away. Dangerous play there, but it's caught. And once again, it's not that Watertown was really out of position there. Just another good grab made there by number 19, Tyus Hansen, for the touchdown, and I think they're going to go for 2 after missing that last extra point.
And what's impressive with these catches are a lot of the year you've seen these Warrior receivers wide open and these big plays, so they show they have speed, but this game they're showing they have the hands too and can make the tough catches surrounded by defenders, really making one of the best, if not the best, receiving cores in the state.
So the 2-point conversion attempt here from Johansson. He will get the snap now, dropping back. Once again, another pass play and another tough completion. I mean, Watertown, basically, you can't defend that any better. And Washington just making the grabs.
Nice catch by, I believe that was number 9, Brennan Torno. There doesn't play a lot for Washington, but showing that he can contribute when called upon.
And Johansson just really hitting the tight windows tonight. You saw on that touchdown pass, just another tight window. 2-point conversion, another tight window, right up the gut for the Warriors.
Interesting to see Washington throw it twice there, so close to the goal line. Interesting strategy, but it paid out. It paid off for them here, as they will once again kick off to Watertown up 28-0. And now it will be Barons again to kick off for Washington. 2 minutes remaining here in this first half. And Barons now to kick. And another squib kick, and they're just going to fall right on it at the 35. They have a minute 59. If they want any chance in this game, they are going to have to score here in this little 2-minute drill.
Yeah, and really, I'm not sure you've seen a lot of times these 2-minute drills in the end of the half. I think it'll be just a quick, attempt a few passes, but if that doesn't work, they'll just try and run out the clock. Most likely, Washington gets the ball back. I'd assume they'll run it out. So most likely, unless Watertown can get a few good plays here, we're looking at 28-0 halftime lead. Pretty good for Washington.
All the right things have happened here for Washington tonight. They've made tough catches. Watertown's offense has stalled for the most part. Washington is getting all the right things done as Fossum goes to the outside and ends up with a gain of 3 there on the run to bring up 2nd down and 7 as the clock is running. Interesting to see what the strategy is here so late in the half. They don't seem to be moving necessarily quick. They didn't pass the ball. Interesting to see here at the end zone.
It's a very good question to ask. Like, what are you really looking for if you're the Arrows? You really need to get points on the board, especially before half.
And now they will pass. Flory gets a pass off, and it was a good pass. Just a good pass break up there by the Warrior defense. That's going to bring up 3rd and 7. A great pass, though, by Flory there for Watertown. Break up there by Freddie Frederick. as he was all over that one. So now 3rd and 7, Watertown once again probably going to have to take another shot deep. Pressure coming, and Flory, yeah, he throws that one, and that's going to be called incomplete pass. 4th and 7, what's Watertown going to do?
And so they're on 30. I think they're just going to punt here, and Washington will most likely run out the clock. They've been in this situation a lot this year, and they don't tend to be too aggressive at the end of the first half.
Number 5, Nate Freeman, brings the quarterback down from the arrow. And a half ball, incomplete.
And now the punt will come here from Watertown. So again, they trail 28-0 here. 1:14 left in this first half. Another solid punt there, and it is caught there as he was falling. I believe that's Freddie Frederick who made that catch there as he was falling backwards. That's going to give Washington 1st and 10 at 22. Interesting to see what Washington does. More likely than not, up 28-0 when you get the football. You should kneel it here, especially knowing the injuries that could come off a wasted play like that.
It'd be respectful at this point, I'd say, to take a knee and go into halftime. But we'll see how aggressive Chad Statham is here.
And it'll be Johansson the gun. Interesting. We'll see what their strategy is. They're going to hand it off to Capella. And interesting to see them hand it off to Capella. I guess what else do you do? But possibly there's arguments that you could have just kneeled it out. But at the same time, a little long left. As they look like they're trying to run plays at a semi-fast rate here. Doesn't look like they're really running clock, as Capella was knocked out of bounds. And that'll be 2nd and 3. Now they're going to air it out. Interesting play call, and they go out of bounds. So it looks like they're trying to get extra points here. To me, that just seems like you're just putting your players at risk at a time where you will need all your players if you want hopes of beating Roosevelt.
Especially because you get the ball to start the second half.
Hey, you get the ball the second half, you're in complete control of this game. I guess Chad Statham just wants more points, and that'll be something to watch as this game goes on.
It's also very confusing because we did see early in the game Johansson grabbing at that right knee. We don't know the extent of that injury or if it's just a precaution, but still just making sure they get in the half injury free.
And that's right now all he's doing is putting his own players at risk, and they almost threw a pick. And honestly, if they would have thrown a pick six, so I said, well, that's what you get for trying to get more points at the end of the half, putting your players at risk there for injury. Interesting to see, I guess. Chad Statham just wants more points here for the Warriors.
A scary play. It seemed like the Warriors were running like a crossing route or a pick play in the middle, and everyone just kind of collided. So really just very confusing from Chad Statham to try to put his players at risk like that.
Definitely something I thought, and like you said, honestly, more likely they get a pick six and probably throw a touchdown here.
And now they're going to run the screenplay, and interesting, and that's going to be, and Chad Statham, I think, going to be brought down, and that's going to be a timeout.
And it looks like we saw one of the O linemen get up really slow, hobbling off the field. So I guess we did see what Chad Statham was doing, trying to get extra points, but it does come with a slight setback.
Yeah, and they take the timeout after getting. It just, to me, that just doesn't make very much sense. You're up 28-0, you get the ball back. What's the point of putting your players at risk for a possible injury? It makes no sense to me, but that's how he's going to play for it. Interesting to see how that goes on in this game. I mean, we have seen this Washington team run up the score in the past. It'll be interesting to see if we see a repeat of that.
They'll need an ego boost this week before taking on #1 Roosevelt next week, who shut them out 29-0 and ending the 7-game win streak for them. So looking for a little ego boost here before facing Roosevelt.
And Johansson in the gun again. Tupac Capella with him. They're going to... No, it's going to be Johansson to run. And they actually read that one really well. And he gets tackled at the knees. Interesting to see how he gets up. He gets up well, but see, another dangerous player at the quarterback, and that's going to be a timeout. That's going to be timeout Watertown. They're going to try and get some points out of this half. Interesting to see them, but they're obviously in much more position of need with points in the Warriors were, so that's a much more strategic timeout there from Watertown down 28-0.
And it looks like Watertown actually brought a spy, and they were making sure to stop Johansson because they've just been killed all night by that read option. So it's good to see that they finally brought that spy, and it almost was very costly as they tackled Johansson at the knee.
Yeah, interesting. And the thing is, if they can stop that for the rest of the night, they could hold this Washington team to maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns in the second half and possibly maybe get back into this game depending on if they can score before half.
The defense has shown they can stop Washington a few drives, but the offense has not shown they can score. The offense needs to improve the most here in the second half because I don't care if you shut out Washington for the whole second half. You're down by 4 touchdowns. You need to score.
They do need to score here, and it'll be Barons the punt for Washington. They're at the 37-yard line, 4th and 8. They elect a punt. And now they're going to mess with the formation here.
Watertown looks like they're sending a block here.
They will bring tons of pressure there. Barons gets it off and gets down at the 36. Barons was appealing for a roughing the kicker. Did not get that. The ref just shook it off right away because must not have been an illegal hit there. So 1st and 10 at the 36. Watertown, you have 26 seconds and 2 timeouts to get down the field to make this a game.
We said you wanted to test out this Warrior secondary here. 2 deep passes, especially over the middle with the safeties there. See how Watertown can do there. And with this, he's proven he's got an okay arm here. So why not test it out here before half? What's worse than going to do? Throw an interception in 26 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, you got to take shots here right now. No time for runs. No. You got to throw the ball. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Flory's going to fire one over there, and that one's just long. Looked like he got a little antsy seeing how wide open the guy was again. Washington just sitting back. Interesting strategy. But the thing is, they have 2 timeouts. If Washington wants to sit back, that's fine. All it needs is 2 20-yard catches, and they're right into the thick of things for a final play towards the end zone or possibly another field goal try.
Yes, you make a good point with field goal try, but really it's still pretty much a 4-possession game.
It is a 4-possession game at that point, but now Flory's going to have to pass again, has a man, makes the grab that time. They're going to take a timeout with 13 seconds left and bring up 3rd and 3, and that's going to be a short timeout for Watertown. They are trying to get points here. They know they need to get points on this drive if they want to have a chance, because right now their defense has stepped up. They look like they've finally adjusted to that read option. They put a spy on him. They need points now. Obviously, they have a chance, not a great one, but they have a chance in the second half to come back. But points here would be huge.
You need those big plays here. Classic 4 verts here, right? But like we said, the Washington corners are okay. Test the safety, so they haven't been tested too much this season, and they have been prone to give up a few big plays here and there, so that's my best bet if you're Watertown. Yeah,
but it's just even on plays when the pass wasn't completed, sometimes that secondary just looks lost. So you might as well hit on that. You're down by 28 points. You have 13 seconds. You have to air it out. It's not a thing of maybe you should. No, you have to. You have no choice.
And teams in the past have a Warrior secondary like O'Gorman where they scored 2 touchdowns very quickly in the first.
As the safeties, they were just sitting back. That's going to be picked off there by Tavian Shaw, I believe. And he is just thrown down there after the interception. That's with 4 seconds left in the half. So they get the pick, but once again, Watertown not necessarily hurt by that. They had to take a shot. As you saw, just the safety sitting back there at that Pac-12.
Garbage time
defense.
Interception there in the half. Washington's going to kneel it down right here, Ben.
Surprising play call from Chad Statham. Here to kneel it out. He's the guy who likes to go for more points. Decided not to. Decided best to keep his players out of harm's way, and that is halftime. 28-0 Washington with a huge lead on Watertown. We'll be back for a start of the second half in about 15 minutes. Once again, 28-0. Washington with the lead. to Washington, Howard Field here, as that kickoff was, I'm not sure if that was supposed to be like that, but that was the weirdest kickoff I've ever seen. And they got him down they lost yards on that. Washington somehow managed to lose yards on that kick. That was strange overall.
It looked like the mix of a squib kick and like a really far onside kick. I don't
Maybe
really
they
know.
were trying to catch him napping. I don't know.
I guess.
Especially with the way
to
the
see.
wind's blowing, too.
Up 28-0. Washington comes out. Interested to see how long. I mean, if they score again, it'll be interesting to see how long they keep their first teamers in. And now Johansson hands off to Capella. Was shut down but bounced out. That's just playmaking right there. Gets out for a gain of 6 yards.
You can just tell the patience that he has, just waiting there, waiting for the blocks to set up, finding the gap and making a play.
He does not rush anything. If the hole's not there, that's fine. He'll wait, sit back, and once he finds an opportunity, he'll take it and usually get positive yardage.
Great speed and agility by Capello.
And now Johansson hands off to Capella, and who gets shut down after just a gain of 1 yard. Watertown's defense really beginning to step up here. I mean, they had Tupac, then that first run outside of, until he bounced it out. They have a 3rd and 3 here. Chance to make a stop here to start off to maybe get some momentum.
And the always fabled halftime turnaround, maybe that'll happen for Watertown. They're making some good stops. If they can they can hold the Warriors to a 3 and out here, that'd be huge.
And Washington dropping back, going to throw it over the middle. He has a man, and they make another catch. He's going to take it. He's going to go all the way 30, 20, 10, touchdown. Wow. And once again, that's Jed Anderson. And Watertown is right there again. They just
should've
failed
had
to
it,
tackle.
Made it short, honestly, make it 4th down, but no, it's just Jed Anderson.
So
Just
that
breaks
makes it,
all those
that
tackles.
makes it 34-0, and Watertown's almost effectively out of this game. Now it comes to the waiting game of the clock to just run out.
And on that play, you saw the defender come up and very good defense on him, but just can't finish the play and make the tackle, and that results in a Warrior touchdown.
Very unfortunate for Watertown there.
Freddie Frederick on to kick the extra point. And that one is good. 35-0. Washington with the lead. We'll be back for the kickoff from Washington. Welcome back here to Howard Field. 35-0. Washington went right down the field off of a huge play by Jed Anderson. And the thing is, Watertown's defense was there outside of one missed tackle that has just killed them all game. And now Luke Behrens will kick off again to Watertown. And interested to see how they respond, being down 35-0. Morale has to be low, but they can't give up. This is their season. They have to try and make something. And a high bouncing kick, they're just going to kneel it at the 34. It's actually going to be marked at 35, so 1st and 10 from the 35 for Watertown. This one right now is looking like it might be over, but Watertown, they need to start taking shots. As we said, that was a key to the game going in. They've just failed to really execute.
And that kickoff looked like another classic Chad Statham play with almost a delayed onside kick, making sure everyone's able to run up the middle, maybe recover the kick as it was bouncing towards a Watertown player, just hoping to catch him off guard.
Interesting play call up 35-0. Maybe they did it because of the wind. I'm not sure, but that just doesn't seem very smart or very
Like I said,
sportsmanlike.
you want to score a lot of points, you got to get the Seagull up against Roseout, who shut you out earlier in the season.
And now, gun one. And that was a dart, but it's broken up. What a throw there by Flory. You don't see that much South Dakota high school football. That was an absolute dart. And for once, Washington with good coverage.
Although
Good
it may have
coverage.
looked like he might have grabbed on the left arm. Maybe got away with one
That
right
was
there.
Ledoux there on the stop, and the corners albeit this year have been all right for Washington. The main problems lie in the secondary and over the middle of the field with some of the linebacker covers, and though there is a flag on the field, so this could be a possible holding. So even if that play would have been successful, they would not have counted.
That's the flag.
Oh, excuse me.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 2 on the offense.
So teams getting chippy here. Watertown obviously upset with the way things have gone. They commit a personal foul. This will bring up second and 20. No, excuse me. I believe first and 25 here.
And of course, Watertown upset here. I mean, you're only one seed behind this other Warrior team. They're up 35-0. You're going to be upset losing your team. It's only a little bit better than you here.
And they just have not came out to perform. Washington has, and that's the advantage, of course, of being the home team, playing in the stadium that you're used to playing most of your games in here on the screenplay. That's going to be Fossum there, who gets, excuse me, that's actually going to be number 5, Adam DeJong here. He gets a gain of a few. Actually, he's going to be marked for no gain, so 3rd and 25 now for Watertown.
Interesting play to call, a little halfback swing when it's 2nd and 25. Not sure what Watertown was thinking there.
And they might, and then they're looking at giving the ball right back to Washington. And knowing the way Washington likes to run up the score, we'll probably see multiple pass plays and just more emotional beatdown right now from the Warriors.
Definitely, they tend to keep in their starters a little longer than they should during some of these games. We'll see how long Jade and Tupac stay
As
in.
Flory is struggling and he gets sacked. So that brings up 3rd and 36. Depending on where they mark it, might be 3rd and 35. It will be 3rd and 35. So, excuse me, 4th and 35. So I think they're going to punt here. Safe bet on a punt.
And this, I mean, the wind's kind of, it's still at their back, but it's not as strong as it was earlier. Don't expect this to go past midfield here.
And now I believe they're going to get ready to punt. They're a man down, and right now it just seems like Watertown's out of this one. But they are going to punt, and here comes I guess they were 2 men down.
And he's
Nope,
currently
now he's...
in the offsides, but I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know what they were doing there. And they take the kick. Washington brought a lot of heat for being up so big. This is a huge punt. That's a very small victory for Watertown, but what a punt.
Beautiful punt.
Huge punt.
Almost traveled the whole length of the field. Just beautiful.
He went from basically from one 10-yard line to the other.
That was
Huge
close
punt.
to an 80-yard
Close to an 80-yard punt. Well, that is one of the positives. One of the few positives we've seen from Watertown. Great punt there. But now here comes the starters for Washington again, and another 35-0. I understand it's early on in the third, but all you're doing is putting your players at risk is what it seems like right now, and that's not smart, knowing you're going to need full personnel next week going up against crosstown rival Roosevelt, who has had your number this year.
As I said earlier, they were the teams that shut out Washington 29-0 at the end of that win streak. Washington looking for revenge. And Roosevelt got kind of weak.
And Capella's still on his feet. I do not know how he's still on his feet. He gets to the outside, and he is going to get to the 40. The 35 is going to make a move. Still on his feet to the 20, and finally brought down at the 10. And Washington just keeps pedal to the metal. No sportsmanship being shown here from Chad Statham as of now, but I guess you got to do what you got to do here in these playoff games. I guess you need to you feel that you need to secure a win up 35-0 here in the third quarter.
And that great punt was just taken away immediately after a great run by Tupac Capella. Really good athlete there. You can't blame for hitting.
And there were plenty of tackles missed there, and it looked like Capella just ran out of gas at the end, but he took that one a long ways.
It's almost like the punt traveled down one way and then Capella gained all that yardage
Literally
back.
all that yardage back. He did. So that'll bring up 1st and goal from the 10. No, actually, it's going to be slightly behind. No, the scoreboard has him at the 11. So 1st and 10 at the 11, and now
Timeout by Washington. And they're up by 35.
timeout Washington here in the
Timeout.
third. It just, right now, things really not adding up here from Washington. 35-0. Quick timeout. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back at the end of the timeout.
This is my
We're
stadium.
back. Washington with first and 11 here. And now that it'll be first and 10 from the 11 there after that huge run from Capella, and they pass to the end zone, and that's going to be a touchdown. Amazing catch there on the
Beautiful.
sideline. Gabe Pearson, great catch, and Washington racking up points here in the third
And
quarter.
that should be the last we see of the Warriors starters. I'd be very surprised if Coach Statham decides to keep this Warriors starting lineup here, depending on how Watertown, especially Watertown, can't score this next drive.
And the first-year man in Gabe Person, beautiful toe tap touchdown. He has the hands for lad at Washington. He's able to play football and basketball.
And he is, on the basketball court, not just a guy that plays, he will be one of the stars this year. So, interesting to see him come out, play football, and done very well as the exploit goes in, 42-0 right now. Washington with the lead. We'll be back for kickoff as Washington kicks off to Watertown yet again. And we are back here at Howard Field, a 42-0 drubbing. Washington has just absolutely taken over this game, and looks like they're going to continue to do so for the remainder of this game. Watertown has just got nothing going on offense, and it's partially because they've had a few chances and their drive stalled. They have a few fourth down chances that they decide to skip on, and that's kind of hurt them here as the game's gone on. You've seen the belief flow out of them. And another short kick, and Washington almost got on that, and that would have been something of a kick there
I
from
think
Chad
what
Stadium.
that is, and that could be a blame but I think honestly Barron's leg is just too weak to
I don't. That looked extremely. That was an interesting kick there. Either way, if it was a squib, I don't know. Washington almost got on it. And with the score being 42-0, that's not something you want to see here. As Watertown will trot back out again, hoping to get some points. They have nothing right now. They need something.
And at this point, this is why I'd say the kind of the borderline here for starters on both teams. Or Watertown for sure. Bringing, if they can't score here, I wouldn't be sorry if this became a backup game here.
Speaking of backups, I believe they have their backup quarterback in.
Nate Freeze with a very rough tackle there.
It did look like, it wasn't. He ended up having to grab the leg because number 41 there, Blake Holden, had the power advantage on him. But that'll bring up 2nd and 12. And they have the in right now, number 9, Brandon Smith. I'm not sure. I don't think they're going to the second string by any means. I think it's more, maybe possible injury to Flory, or they just need to get something going.
Benching, yeah.
And it's not really that Flory's been bad. He just hasn't gotten the protection.
Also, if you're Washington, with Roosevelt next week, if I'm Chad Statham, I'm thinking of expanding the defensive playbook so we can prevent a burning of the corners and safeties as we have seen earlier this year against Roosevelt and O'Gorman.
Yeah, and that strategy of sitting back that we've seen from them all game is not going to be effective against receivers like Feldkamp. For Roosevelt, he's been absolutely electric for them all year, especially against
You
Washington.
talk about those defenders. You say this year, last year during the Dakota Dome, they had Nate Freeze on a couple of plays there for Washington. He just really was out of form. They're going to have to improve the safety game. The whole secondary.
They're going to have to, especially with the way Roosevelt can throw the ball here, and the pass from Brandon Smith way long. Just wasn't able to get his man there. That's going to bring up 4th and 14.
And I
Actually,
see
4th and 19 and
Max
punting.
Thompson warming up on the sideline. Hopefully a sign of sportsmanship from Chad Statham to bring out his backup quarterback here. especially with Johansson, not sportsmanship, Johansson's knee.
Oh,
obviously.
and also with Capella, they are one injury away from Tupac Capella from their season being
over.
thrown into turmoil, almost effectively over, with how at times he's put the team on his back. No disrespect to anyone else on that team, but Tupac Capella has at times
Losing either one of Jaden or Tupac would be devastating.
especially going into this matchup with Roosevelt. As Freddie Frederick is going to get a return here, going to go to the outside, and there's a flag down,
Blocking
but
in the
Freddie
back.
Frederick is going to get to the 20. That should be a block in the back, I believe.
Every kick and punt return in all of football, if there's a flag, it's always blocked.
It's always blocked in the back. That's something you can pretty much guarantee. And I think so. Looking at the video, I think they are going to get him for a block in the back. So that good return is going to be negated by one penalty there.
And to bring it up again, even though the offense will be coming on the field, just making sure that the secondary is on their game next game is very crucial to this Warriors defense.
Oh, right now, yeah. Especially looking at, 42-0 at this point. The game is mostly decided. They're going to have to start to look at ways they're
They got
going to
the
start
B team
thinking
coming
about.
out.
And now B team finally coming out here for Washington. 42-0, they have lead. They finally have gone to the second string. And this is how we should see the rest of the game finish with 6 minutes left in the quarter.
Very
Run by
exciting
Barons gets shut down there in the middle.
for the future Warriors in the stands here. You're looking at your future quarterback. Let's look at Max Thompson, a freshman. He'll definitely start, possibly not next year with Tyus Hansen, but his junior and senior years. So effectively seeing how Washington's going to look in a few key areas over the next coming years here.
Just giving him reps time for the Warriors is really crucial for their future. Just making sure, going past Johansson, like he's a very great quarterback. What are we going to do beyond Johansson?
Because Washington will lose their last load of talent of those last three classes that have just been phenomenal for them. And it's going to be interesting to see. We're going to see a lot of stuff. What comes around goes around. We're going to see Washington, and this is how high school football goes. It's a game of hills and valleys, and Washington is going to start to go back down to the valley as high school football goes. It's just impossible to keep up.
Well, and I'm not exactly sure about that, but here's the thing. Chad Stevens won 3 titles. This is the sign of a great coach. Is he a great coach if he can lead a team that's not star-studded to respectability? If not, that's more of a one on the back of your players.
Seen. Yeah, it'll be seen. Well, next year, Washington football as a whole will be tested. It won't just be about the players. It'll be about the mentality, because at a lot of times they're going to be outmatched, losing so many seniors. That's just what you expect to happen. So they're really going to need great coaching, great determination to stay relevant next year for the title. Otherwise, they're going to be on the receiving end of the blowouts that we became used to seeing from Washington.
And another big piece is Capella will also be leaving. So the question of who will fill the big spot of Capella.
And he has been the guy on offense for the last 3 years almost.
Yep.
Sophomore year was a little not as big, but junior year, senior year especially, he has been the guy, and trying to replace that is just hard. Doesn't matter who you are.
You look at some of these, you look at the offense, you're losing Johansson, Capella, Person, Smith, Anderson, and on the defense, people like Newsma, Derlin, and someone like Nate Freeze. And that's going to be very interesting to see how Coach Staten can lead this team come next year. He's still a young coach compared to people like Roosevelt's Kim Nelson, and he's going to have to, like you said, Caden, it's a game of hills and valleys. So
And that's what high school
Washington go
football
all the way
is.
down to the valley where they'd be able to kind of grab their footing beforehand.
Yeah, because that's what you've kind of seen coaches like, Kim Nelson at Roosevelt, he's kept them in it, at least. They haven't been to the mountaintop since over the last 3 years, obviously, because Washington has just been dominant, but next year, everything's up for grabs.
And another big question that the Warriors had was, we saw Nate Freeze almost play like a cornerback position during his first few years of high school, and then him transitioning to the safety position just so he could sit back and almost have an easier role within the Warriors team.
It'll be interesting, because that was big coming up against Roosevelt, who Washington beat last year in the finals. That's what they're coming up against, a very similar team to what they faced last year.
And the Roosevelt
And
team,
they can throw that football.
Oh, they had freeze on it. Their receivers had a few steps on freeze during most of the plays.
And they had a
last
few
year,
steps
so-
on everyone, to be
too,
fair.
Yeah, to be fair.
I mean, to be fair, last year, Roosevelt really tested Washington. I think Roosevelt really believes this is the year that they topple Washington.
And also, just bringing safeties into coverage. We saw Freeze last year in the dome being almost needing a safety, almost being put on an island. Not a very good play call from Chad Stidham just to throw someone out
You
on.
can't, yeah, that's going to be a key against Roosevelt next week is you're going to have to, you can't put people on an island against those wideouts at Roosevelt. Their quarterback is phenomenal. Their wide receivers are phenomenal. They can put up points. They can put up yards through the air, and that'll be a big storyline to watch as we'll see preparations begin tomorrow, really.
Oh,
for
yeah,
that
and
game.
Roosevelt just put up close to 60 on Aberdeen. Now, that was Aberdeen Center, but still, that offense who had struggled against teams like Yankton and them, really starting to get fired up.
And you see a lot, and a lot of that comes from they've been resting players lately. And now that you see them at full strength, 60-0 doesn't matter who it is. That's impressive, especially considering that they lost just a few weeks ago to Rapid City Central and only scored 18 points.
Cowboys are an interesting team this year.
From Washington, almost picked off, I believe. That was way.
We do have some
Way low.
scores here. O'Gorman is beating Lincoln 76-14 here. So they will advance here, along with Brandon Valley beating Rapid City Central 47-8. That Cobbler's offense just not doing it. So that will set up a Brandon Valley O'Gorman matchup. I believe O'Gorman is the higher seed there, and so that will be played at McEnany Field next week, along with presumably Washington Roosevelt, with Roosevelt being the home team next week.
Yeah, right here at Howard Wood. So always interesting to see the Sioux Falls schools that play at Howard Wood face off in a playoff game at Howard Wood.
That's really unfortunate for Lincoln there. The Sioux Falls school has kind of been on the down for a lot of the last few years. Had a okay start to the season, but just couldn't take control. And O'Gorman, after an embarrassing loss to Brandon Valley, just destroys Lincoln 76-14. I mean,
It'll be
62
interesting.
point win.
Yeah, like I said, we should begin to see the best of teams now. There will be no resting of players, no mind on other games. It'll be a great semifinal matchup in every single one. I mean, you're looking at O'Gorman, Brandon Valley. Brandon Valley just beat O'Gorman handily.
Pretty impressive one, too. Brandon Valley coming at home saying, listen, this isn't just Washington, Roosevelt, O'Gorman. This is a wide open race this year with 4 teams. And I am not comfortable at all with making a prediction for any of the semifinal or dome games because I think any of the 4 teams has an equal chance to win. They're all very evenly matched this year.
Yeah, now here's another third down here for the Warriors. Throwing it out, almost got picked off, but going to be incomplete 4th down. I believe Washington's going to punt.
And there's a flag. It seems like after the play, one of the Arrows players threw down a Washington lineman, and it'll most likely be unsportsmanlike conduct.
Seems like those Arrows players did not take too kindly to Washington keeping their starters out as long as they did. Now they're frustrated. Actually, no. That's going to go. That's going to be offsetting. Both teams getting a little chippy here. Sad to see in a game like this. I mean, it's already 4-2-0. The game's done. What's this helping either team's cause? It's really not.
No, that's unfortunate. You have some great class acts on the Washington D-line, too, that are, really aren't going to be a part of this stuff, but it's just unfortunate when stuff like this has to happen.
And since you're up with a big lead, it's really weird. Just keep your temper down. Do it for your teammates at least. But also on the Arrow side, it's almost understandable since the score has been ran up almost. And that's just like deafening the players.
Yeah, players do not respond well to that, and we're seeing that. And obviously, it's not an excuse by any means. You don't want to have, but it's just we see where the frustration comes from. But with Washington's side, it's just you're up 42-0. You got to perform with class. You've been the better team. Don't lose the discipline game or don't get sucked into it.
You've got this game pretty much wrapped up. Don't have any suspensions or something that could linger in the next game against Roosevelt, where you will need all your men, as that was, your most embarrassing loss of the past few years, a complete shutout of the Washington Warrior offense, which we've not seen in quite a long time.
With emotions running high, high school careers coming to an end, you can see why the arrows are almost... It's crazy to see how the game is playing out.
And a big throw, and it was a dart, but it was dropped. What a throw by backup quarterback Brandon Smith.
Great arm by Smith.
And that was a great throw. The junior Brandon Smith, that was a great throw. Just a drop on the outside.
Like I said, junior Brandon Smith, so he's poised to take over the Flory Cup next year.
Oh, and he had him. That was number 4, Jake Werner, on the drop. The senior there, too, had a chance to get a touchdown in his last game, but couldn't haul it in. Good to see that Watertown's still taking shots here.
Especially Watertown's hat, I can see why they might be a little upset. Obviously, there's a fifth. Obviously, Sioux Falls schools, as usual, take the top 3 and you throw Brandon, or outside the Lincoln, take the top 4 spots. But Watertown has had a good 5th seed year.
They were a win. They were a win from hosting a playoff game, and which could have been different if they were the hosts.
Good.
They would have had a rowdy hometown crowd.
Hometown, they're nice. Old-fashioned stadium they have up there in Watertown. It gives them a nice home field advantage.
And now brings up 3rd and 11. We'll see if Brandon Smith hears this one out again. Obviously now it's just playing for pride at this point. Brandon Smith dropped back, pressure coming, has a man, it's caught, and he will get the first down. So Watertown getting a first down, good morale play. That's going to be the end of the third quarter. 42-0. Washington with the lead. We'll be back for the start of the fourth quarter. Once again, Washington leads 42-0 at Howard Wood Field. Welcome back to Howard Wood Field here for the start of the fourth quarter. And Washington, they have a 42-0 lead. Watertown just got a first down, and they will hopefully continue to move the ball here. Handoff. Oh, and that's a fumble, and Washington's going to pick that up, and they're going to get the scoop and score off that. And I mean, with Washington up 49-0, high morale right now. After that scoop and score, I mean, really nothing to say outside of that. I mean, good scoop and score there. That fumble by Fossum, and that's what's going to happen.
I believe that might have been Gabe Frericks, though.
That was Gabe Frericks there, the linebacker, getting in and making the play on the scoop and score. Washington scored.
Fredericks, he was a little shaky on one extra point here. See if he can. That's a very high extra point, but it is good. So good job by Freddie Fredericks. So that's something I said last game. Washington has to improve on. Is you have games against Roosevelt, O'Gorman, and possibly Brandon. You need to be able to score every point. If one missed extra point could be the difference between a four-peat and having that streak snapped by teams very eager to snap a four-peat chance for Washington.
And you see that kickers are becoming more and more important. Special teams just becoming more and more important in the game of football. You know, Cam Newton just recently said that a quarterback is really only as good as their kicker. And with Washington's kicker situation not really up to par as they would wish, it's good to see that the kickers are finally doing well.
Yeah, that could be huge in this coming game against Roosevelt that we anticipate to be close, or even for Washington, they almost have an uphill battle knowing how bad Roosevelt just dominated them that first time. It'll be interesting to see how they respond interesting to see if they're more motivated. It really depends on if they come out motivated or if they come out scared. And if they come out scared, I'll tell you they have no chance.
And they lost, their kicker, Brock Walker, to Minnesota, very good kicker, and he get replaced by Luke Behrens, who just struggled to start the season. Freddie Fredericks has been a little better, but still not something where I would not be confident if the game came down to a 30-some-yard field goal by any of the two, because they just have a lot.
And part of that just comes down to the fact that you've had solid kicking for 4 years. You haven't really been training people, and now it's coming back to get them here and that's kind of what happens when you lose the talent that you've been riding for the last few years here as the return gets to the 30, gets to the 40, makes a move, and gets pulled down at the 49. Good return here by Watertown, but it's obviously a thing of way too little, way too late. 49-0. I mean, Washington looking dominant here right now.
A 7-touchdown lead, but the Arrows are hoping to get some points on the board just for a little confidence boost next year.
Yeah, and you look at there's a decent amount of Arrows fans here on the opposing side here tonight, so give them something to cheer about. Good job, Watertown, about an hour and a half drive away here, and they've just came down and support their Arrows, trying to get the upset. Unfortunately for them, it doesn't look like that'll happen, but it's still trying to score for the fans here.
And right there, once again, shut down is Fossum.
And it seems like the Arrows seem to favor that pistol formation, but it really hasn't been working out for them.
Nothing's really worked out for them today. Every time they've had chances, they almost went too conservative for this game, and it's kind of came back to haunt them. They had a chance early on to take some points, and they left them on the field, and overall, their morale kept dropping. Every time Washington scored, you could see the belief being sucked out of them. And that's what really contributed to this 49-0 score.
In other teams, you've seen them come out aggressive against the Warriors, especially against that defense. You saw O'Gorman and Roosevelt really game plan, great coaching by both of those teams, making sure to study the weaknesses.
Yeah, as Watertown fumbles there, so Washington gets the ball back.
But as I was saying with the weaknesses, just great coaching by both Roosevelt and O'Gorman, making sure to get those receivers open as they were able to open the middle of the field, almost like Washington sitting back in like a cover two, just running right up the middle of the field, which is great coaching.
Yeah, and that'll be Kim Nelson versus Chad Statham yet again here. That'll be something to watch, as that has typically been an entertaining matchup. And we'll see if Kim Nelson gets the best of Statham again. That'll come up, of course, next week, Friday. And
yeah, like you said, it's a match of probably the two best coaches possibly in the state.
of course, O'Gorman's coach
Yes.
is there. But really, the Sioux Falls teams all have solid coaches right now. They're all in a good coaching spot, especially after Lincoln made a few coaching changes.
Unfortunate situation there. He was a good coach, just had some off-the-field problems.
And that is, right now, I think the city of Sioux Falls has a lot of fine. Most of them are good, not only good coaches, but good just leaders of young men and good teachers to these young men. Now, a lot of them emphasize sportsmanship, but also the willingness to compete and want something.
It's one thing to be a great coach, but another thing to be a great man off the field, as we've seen a lot with this Warriors team. And Eric Struck, I know I had him as a teacher, a great guy, was always accepting, encouraging of no matter who stepped on that field, who stepped in the classroom, just a great guy. And I'm sure Chad Staham's the same way.
Yes, the Struck's a very big sports family in Sioux Falls here. Lots of teachers teaching at multiple different schools, sports-related activities.
And now Washington runs a little bubble screen. Interesting to still see them throwing the ball up 49-0 here in the fourth quarter.
That's a preview more of Warriors next year. It's number 15, Cole Holstein, I believe, and he is set to take on a decent role next season, but they'll go back to punt. And yeah, like you said, really at this point, just kind of milk the clock. If you're Watertown, you want to score. If you're Washington, you just want that clock to hit zero with no injuries. And
especially, it's good that they finally went to that second string.
But you still have people
you still have people out there that would be a big loss to depth. So interesting to see how the rest of this game goes. We should see them go a little more conservative to avoid injuries.
Also, if you're a Warriors fan, you're really thinking, oh, I kind of wish Chad Statham
And
almost
now Barron's, wow, that was a interesting way to get a punt off.
almost running around a little too long, got caught.
Yeah, really. I mean, he able to get the punt off, but wow.
As I was saying, if you're a Warriors fan, you're kind of scratching your head like, why didn't Chad Statham put in these backups a little earlier? No, experience is the best coach. And we've seen that, especially with Johansson coming in his freshman year and getting those reps that he needed to be the great quarterback that he is today.
It'll be interesting to see. Of course, yeah, Washington coming up against Roosevelt next week, and that's going to be huge for them because I mean that's one of the two teams in the state that have really looked just flat out better than Washington at times. And that'll be probably the game of the week. Washington Roosevelt. I mean, OG Brandon Valley also is looking like it's going to be a good matchup. And as there's another fumble here, but they pick it up and actually runs for almost a first down there. Actually, I think
Very close
where
to
they're
a first
spotting
down.
it, they might give him the first down. That was Brandon Smith there after the fumble, picked up and ran with it, and they are going to give him the first down.
You know, you can't blame Statham for taking him out when he did. They have very good, final stats from some of the starters here. Johansson, 12-16 for 167 yards with 4 touchdowns. Capella, 18 rushes, 227 yards and a touchdown. Johansson, 89 rushing yards and a touchdown. And Jed Anderson, 87 receiving yards. Gabe Pierce with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, there's just been too much offensive firepower tonight, and Watertown has really failed to kind of get points on the board, and it looked like at stretches that they could really throw the ball against this team, and then they kind of went away from it, and it hurt them. So now 2nd and 6 here for Watertown as the clock continues to run down to 8 minutes and 40 seconds here in the 4th quarter.
And it looks most likely like a false start here on the Arrows.
As they look to be moving back. That's going to be on the running back there. Fossum called for the false start, so that's going to bring up now 2nd and 11 for Watertown as they look to just get some points for morale and to give their fans something to cheer about. Oh, here comes a 2nd and 11 play. Be Smith in the pistol. Good throw there on the bubble screen, and that's going to be a solid gain of 8 yards, and then a flag is thrown, possibly a face mask there from where the flag was thrown. Not sure.
It looked like a great stiff arm, but he may have gotten in the face mask a little too much for the liking of the ref.
So this is going to be face mask on Washington. That's going to be Awais Malim there with the face mask. Good to see Awais getting play time, one of those seniors farther down on the depth chart, but getting play time here as Washington looks to reserve its bigger parts
They're using
for the rest
some
of
of
the
those
game.
deep play. You've seen Brennan Torno. I wouldn't be surprised if they use some backup safeties like Dylan Verslis out here.
As they shut that one down there. So now that'll bring up 2nd and 12, and this clock continues to run, and all eyes now for Washington turn to Roosevelt. And that all-important semifinal game, and that has been a close game historically for Washington no matter who they play.
Yes, and that, of course, last year, a great stop by Seth Benson, Peyton Newsman on that 2-point conversion. But you have, yes, the Roosevelt, who just completely embarrassed Washington week 2, is going to really. They had a really weak season after that, had some close wins, some tough losses, and they got back up, regained the number 1 spot, Washington, down to 4. But 1-4 is not as big of a gap as 1-4 might seem to you. It will be a very close game, and
Every seed 1 through 4.
every seed 1-4. Both games will be
definitely
close,
into this.
as will whoever plays in the Dome.
Yeah, you could see really any matchup. There's really no clear favorites. I think if you had to pick two, it would probably be O'Gorman and Roosevelt. But Washington and Brandon Valley definitely have it in them to make it to the Dome. Good grab there on the throw, and they're going to get in the end zone. Touchdown, Arrows. That's Jake Werner for the Arrows. They gave their fans something to cheer about on a good throw there from Brandon Smith. Touchdown, Watertown.
Just a beautiful pass from the quarterback, and the receiver making sure he got open on the little cut inside, having the quarterback chase him.
Yeah, and once again, cornerbacks a little bit out of position, but really not that far out of position. Just good play made there by Werner to break a few tackles and get in the end zone, use that speed to get in the end zone and get Watertown their first point of the game, and they will take the extra point.
And all the other schools are happy that the Arrows scored because they all really want to stop Washington in their 4P. You know, you've seen memes circulating around the web on social media that the other schools clearly want to stop Washington from.
They are all in this year on stopping Washington from getting that 4P, and that's been a real motivating factor for the teams that play Washington.
And something we could possibly talk about the online memes. Something we could see last year, Washington Roosevelt had some SoundCloud rap.
Oh, they did have a few.
Yes,
They did
yes.
have a
And we
few
could see that next
quote
week.
unquote diss tracks at each other. And that's something we could see. Washington Roosevelt, albeit probably some of the biggest rivals in the state, but it's more of a friendly rivalry. A lot of stuff like the little diss tracks and the little hype songs.
See the people like last year in Washington. See if their favorite Chief Joseph drops another one here.
And just a little back and forth fun from both schools, but some people did not take so kindly to it. There were a couple moms on both sides actually that weren't fond of the diss tracks, and if you did not take a listen to the diss tracks, they used a Speaker Knockers beat, and that is a rapper who sadly passed away early in his rap career, but it's great to see that they're using his music to further a message for a little friendly competition.
It was completely friendly. Sadly, some people were against it. I, of course, thought it was fun, and it was just part of what makes the rivalry special. It's something you don't see in a lot. You wouldn't see that even in college, knowing how good those rivalries can be and how friendly some of them can be. That's something you only see in a high school, especially in a town of this size where, while it's a bigger town, we still know a lot of people from other schools, so it makes it a lot more personal and a lot more fun here in South Dakota, Sioux Falls.
And you could tell from the diss tracks that it was just really kids having fun, not really taking everything to heart like some people assume that they would be, just playing around in the booth, just making sure that a little friendly competition don't hurt no one. And you could tell by the amateur rapping in almost all the songs that it really wasn't anything to get too worried about.
And it's something we'll probably see this year. To
Probably,
some
and
extent.
you talk about the parents. There were a few words you could say borderline where that's high school. You learn to live with that kind of stuff. It's just normal, friendly competition.
And I know motivation fun with it as well. It was something that kind of they just gave them both an extra edge, and it was a great game, a great Dome game last year. And it'll be interesting to see now. This time, obviously, they aren't going to face off in the Dome, but here in this semifinal game coming up on Friday.
And I believe that Washington was, in fact, listening to the track that was pro-Washington in the locker room as a hype song. So I imagine those players, they really like the people that were behind that track and, using it to their advantage. And it's great to see that.
It'll be interesting to see here as we continue to kill time here. We're at 5 minutes, 20 seconds left in this game. Clock slowly running. Washington with the football here, and they have 3rd and 4. Throws over the middle, incomplete. 4th down.
And back to the diss tracks from each school, you could see that since hip-hop is now the biggest music genre in the world, you see how the culture is really putting a stamp on the youth and just making sure that they're having fun, not getting in the that they're out making music, even if it is kind of a joke. Just making music, staying out of trouble, it's a good thing.
Oh, yeah, and it just, like I said before, much more fun between Roosevelt and Washington, who, over the last 4 years, those have probably been the two strongest teams. That's a good punt there by Behrens. Werner is going to have a chance to return, and he's going to have blocks, and he is going to make it to the 40, still on his feet, gets knocked down at the 41. Good return there by Warner for them, and they will get a 1st and 10 here in Washington. You see doing their best to try and run out the clock, but it just seems that it just keeps going on, and I'm sure all of them down there are ready to prepare for that Roosevelt game. That's huge for them. That's one that they are looking at, knowing this is the one that they got to win. This is the first step to getting that four-peat. And you look at the last 3 years, every single semifinal game for Washington High has come down to the wire.
Oh, yes.
No matter who they play. And they played Brandon Valley, O'Gorman,
and Roosevelt. So they played some big schools, and they're able to pull it out, but we'll see if that luck can continue.
And now the run there by Fossum gets to the outside, and he is going to go down the sideline to the 30 and gets knocked out of bounds at around the 25-yard line. Good run by Fossum. Good to see Watertown finally moving the ball a little more here, but obviously too little too late at this point.
A player that doesn't usually get too much recognition on the Warriors defense, but is a very solid backup, could start in fact, especially when some of the players are not in form, is number 42, Dylan Versalis. I know his friends call him Bernie, but he is an exceptional player, just being able to...
And it's good to see guys like that, seniors who have played all 4 years, haven't necessarily been up to starting level, but are finally getting some play time. Always good to see that from when the seniors get a chance to play here, especially in the playoffs.
Especially Versalis, he's a really humble guy. Says, I don't really care. He honestly wants it. Every player wants to start, but he says, starting's not that big of a deal to me. I just want to help contribute to the team.
They just want to get that four-peat. That's what their mind has been on all year. I'm sure that's what they've been preaching about, is that four-peat. That's what they want. That is what they need.
Of course, up by 42. You're probably inspired by the speech given last night by teacher Jamin Ratzlav at the Pizza Ranch dinner for them, and they've came out and showed Mr. Ratzlaff, a former player, that his words do matter here, inspiring them.
Ratzlaff, another teacher at Washington. It's just great to see how these former players are able to transition it into the classroom and motivate. Some of these players aren't always so focused in the classroom, and to have a male figure in their life that played football and be a role model to, do well in the classroom like you do on the field, it's just great for these players.
It is great for these players. I mean, it keeps them out of trouble. It keeps them focused on both football and school, which are the two most important things to them, especially around this fall period. And a lot of these seniors have benefited from that tremendously. Especially you look at someone like Tupac Capella. Growing up, he wasn't exactly the straight A student. He was
labeled a troublemaker.
He was labeled as a troublemaker in his youth, and he's really turned it around. He's stuck to football, and that's been huge for him. It's paying off with FCS offers, really, to play football. I mean, that's what's happened. It's
Especially
completely...
with Joe Hansen being offered a possible walk-on spot at NDSU.
It just shows the offensive talent. Yes. It just shows the offensive talent Washington has, and the thing is, you look at someone like Gabe Pearson, I'm sure if he wasn't so committed to basketball, he might even have some offers here to play here in Sioux Falls, play some football here in Sioux Falls for either USF or Augie. But right now, just Washington loaded with talent that they are going to miss next year. Touchdown there, Watertown. That's Werner again. Another good throw, and Watertown on the board again.
Just a great morale booster, just getting 2 touchdowns, just marching down the field, making sure that they're able to, expand the playbook a little bit, make sure they're able to get some touchdowns.
A nice showing there by Watertown, showing how the offense might look next year with some of these players. And of course, like I said, this game's pretty much over. Both teams, Watertown focusing on making sure they have another good season like they did this year, and Washington looking to avenge themselves against Roosevelt.
And the extra point goes in, 49-14. Arrows getting on the board here in the fourth quarter. 3 minutes left to play.
If only they could have started earlier, right, Caden?
That would have been nice. We would have had a lot better game here.
Very interesting game. And Watertown has a good team. They just, Washington.
You could see the belief really flow out of them after they made that drive, got it all the way down to the 17-yard line, and then on 4th and 3 decided to take a field goal. And once they missed that field goal, that's when all the belief flowed out of that team.
Or the
Even though
short
they got a
4th and
stop
1.
after that, it was
Yes.
just that's when we really saw things turn to where you kind of knew what was going to happen.
And another big reason that I think the fans are also engaged, there's great fan turnout, especially for the Warriors, is the great cheer and dance team that the Warriors have. Just great. You saw they almost swept the state dance competition, winning first in 3 events and third in 1 and becoming grand champions. And it's just great. As that is a return for the Warriors, and he gets a few blocks, and he's brought down at around the 41.
Yes, you talk about that. Warrior football team trying to make a 4-peat. The dance team already has a 4-peat this year, and congratulations to them. They've been a really fun, good dance team to watch for Washington.
Yep.
4 in a row. And
They've been absolutely
something like 12
dominant.
out of the last 13 or something like that. Just absurd dominance there.
And there's some great people on that dance team that are great people outside of dance and just great people in general. Cameron Burgers is able to do it in the classroom and just a funny spirit, and she's great.
And just not just the people. We'd like to acknowledge some of the other staff out here taking photos for the newspapers. Nick Bernardi and
Yeah, you see a lot of people. I mean, you see a lot of Washington kids getting involved in a lot of ways here. It's not Washington. It's not just about the football team. It's about all the athletics here. I mean, we've already had 1 state title here in cheer and dance, and they're looking to add a second here with football.
well, they've had 2. The boys soccer team had a nice win against Aberdeen Central.
But the culture that Washington just has is everyone's almost like a family. Well, they are a family there. It's just great to see the diversity that Washington brings. Everyone has school spirit, and it's just great to see that everyone's in the participation after school, especially for the turnout for these football games. Washington has one of the best student sections in the state, probably in all of the Midwest, so it's great to see them turn out.
Yeah, and that's, of course, aided by, they get weekly shirts here. They're by Heather Walker, who's done so much for this Washington,
Yep.
for this, just the school of Washington, Everyone loves Heather Walker, and take this opportunity to thank her for all she's done for Washington.
Yes,
I mean, shirts
yes.
at volleyball games, basketball games, football games. Absolutely great of her to do that just because
Yep.
she loves the school. It's not
The culture
about her.
that-
She loves
yep.
the culture at Washington. It's a family culture, and that's really what it's built around.
Especially Heather treating everyone like family, welcoming everyone, not really judging anyone, just making sure everyone feels welcome at Washington. And it's just great to see that, especially from...
And you see that throughout the school.
Yes, yep. It's not just within one person, it's within the whole family of Washington.
That's why you see these huge turnouts at football games, because they genuinely care how these teams do. It's not just
Certainly.
a little event that they go to because that's just what you do. It's really about family, and it's about the Warrior pride that's often mentioned.
And another thing that makes Washington so lethal is that since they are a family, and that these football players are really almost playing for each other more than personal gain. You see,
Yeah, you see that a lot. Yeah, they're all playing for that common goal
Yep.
of a 4-peat. They know how much it means to each other,
Yep.
having sat behind that class last year that was so successful, winning
Yep.
3 titles. They want to be the ones to win 4.
And a great example of that is Tupac Kapea. He's probably the best running back to come out of the state of South Dakota. And, just his selfless ability to I'd rather have a team win a ring than just my it's great to have those personal
and
records.
it's one of the reasons he was crowned homecoming king.
Yep. Him and Jane Walsh were elected the homecoming king and queen at Washington, and it looks like Watertown will be
They are
nailing
going
this.
to kneel this one out. They are done
A good
with
season
this.
for the Arrows.
Good season for the Arrows. Disappointing finish. I mean, good season though, and that's something you got to look on and hopefully build on there for Watertown. Being one of those outside of Sioux Falls area schools is hard to compete, but they sure gave them a run for their money.
Maybe if you've been a little more aggressive, and I'm not criticizing coach at all, but on some of those 4th and shorts because Washington just got
Oh yeah,
their
things could have been way different, and you saw the belief every time they decided to punt instead of go for it. You saw the belief really flow out of them that they just couldn't pull off this upset, and that is it. 49-14, Washington wins here, at Howard Wood Field, and they are on to the semifinal to face off against number 1 seed Roosevelt next Friday. And we will see you then. Once again, this activity was brought to you by this station, its advertisers, and the member schools of the South Dakota High School Activities Association. No rebroadcast, in whole or in part, may be made without the written permission of the South Dakota High School Activities Association. That's all from us. I'm Caden Sheets, alongside me, Gerald Mokris Jr., and August Mills here on the call. We will see you next week for that semifinal matchup, Washington versus Roosevelt, Friday night. We'll see you then.